Speaking of Floyd, apparently there's a movement to have Derek Chauvin pardoned now.
Yeah,
So
well, the problem is that those are state charges. I think the only federal charge is a civil rights violation. I have seen the entire tape of the interaction between George Floyd and the police. And it was actually not from the body cam of Chauvin. I don't even know if that exists, but it was from another officer's body cam. I saw the whole thing. A terrible situation. George Floyd is acting in a probably in a drugged out way, but also just in the most annoying possible way. You know, it's like he won't get out of the car. He resists everything constantly over and over. I could only imagine how difficult it would be to deal with a population like this. Um, so I've seen it. I kind of get it. I sympathize with the cops. I don't know what to say. I sort of don't want to just jump in on the conservatard side and be like, "Oh, it's totally justified" or whatever. I mean, because the fact is the police can get zealous in matters like this. Um, you know, you don't when we're hanging out in Chicago and someone gets too drunk or whatever, we don't want the police officers throwing them onto the ground and smashing their face into this pavement or something. I mean, there are examples of overreactions. I mean, I don't want to just sort of like give every single benefit of the doubt to the police, to be honest. I mean, watching that videotape as well, I was almost getting enraged at the fact that he just won't comply. And I could only imagine being there with some man who's on drugs. You're being as polite as possible, and they are just being impossible. There is no doubt I would have the impulse to just punch him in the fucking face because he is so annoying. Um, did he die, in fact, of fentanyl poisoning and not of suffocation? Uh, you could make this case. I don't know. I think it's like I mean, I I don't know enough. I was not at the trial. I don't know enough in terms of the actual details of the case, whether he is maybe this is something a lot less. If he did do some violation, it's a lot. He deserved a lot less. There was hysteria around it. Bad jury. I fair enough. Um, but don't you find there's something a little bit depraved in the conservative imagination where they treat these people as heroes? You know, it was like that police officer was justified in just murdering that Negro. Isn't there something just a bit depraved in that attitude? I'm not saying Chauvin, I don't know enough. I'll even I'll grant you the argument that Chauvin was tough but fair and basically followed the rules. I'll grant that to you. I might even grant you that George Floyd was roughed up by Chauvin but died of fentanyl poison. I'll grant that to you. Regardless, do you not think that there's something depraved about the fact that conservatives lionize Derek Chauvin and Rittenhouse as heroes when they're pretty much brutal idiots?
I
absolutely.
feel worse.
You
I
know,
feel
I
worse
don't
for
I think
Chauvin.
someone should probably just say this because I just it's sadistic and puerile to identify with the murderer in this way. I think it actually says something really bad about conservatives, to be frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've brought
I
this up before. There's like a connection here. Like if you go onto any type of local news, like whatever local newspapers in your area, and then like look at what they're it's all stories about like local crime, like man broke a window to like steal a keg of beer past like whatever time they no longer sell alcohol. But like all of the comments are these like boomer cons that are like lock him up and throw away the key. We gotta torture this guy. He's not gonna ever have a normal life again.
Yeah.
I hope
And
they
like
rape
indulging in
him.
like he's going to be raped in jail or something. You know, it's like, all right, he stole beer and therefore he deserves to be like brutally gang raped in prison. I mean, what in the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
Well,
I
it
I mean,
reminds me
give
of
me a break.
there was like a trend of like baby monkey torture, like people watching snuff films of monkeys getting tortured, and it
I
kind of,
heard about that.
they're like these impotent people that will never have power over their lives, and so they kind of like identify with like a torturer who's torturing somebody else who they see as kind of not being part of their group or their social strata or circle or
Yeah.
something. And it's just this kind of sick like release. It's like I know you're like I know these people are this way because they have to wake up every day at 6 o'clock and commute an hour to a job they hate and come back to a
Hmm.
wife that hates them, or if it's a wife,
Yeah.
a guy who they're not really in love with. And that's just sort of how it is. And it's just an
Yeah.
expression of weakness, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, even if we can show some sympathy towards these people, it doesn't mean that we should lionize it. I mean, I don't I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess you could say that we're just being snobby and we're over it or whatever, but you're not even admiring like a great sports hero or something where I understand, loving the quarterback or something, or you're not even admiring like General Patton or, just some sort of military victory that is bigger. It's a triumph. Like you are indulging in sadism, and you like Rittenhouse because he blew away a like Antifa member, and you like Chauvin because he killed an N-word. And I don't know what to say about that. I mean, there's this Lacan. I mean, sorry, I can be accused of being snobby, but Woody he has this famous phrase, or excuse me, famous like anecdote of the man who is obsessed with his wife sleeping around, cheating on him, just obsessed with it. Every every waking hour of his day is sneaking around, reading her diary secretly. I mean, that he wrote this before phones, looking at her phone pictures, hiring detectives and whatever. And Lacan said, if he discovers that his wife is in fact having an affair, that doesn't change the pathological nature of his obsession. So what he's saying there is that even if it's true, you're still a sick freak. And I would say that about these conservatives who love these guys. Like, I am open-minded. Like, if Chauvin should have been released or gotten a slap on the wrist because it was a tough situation, yeah, I can believe that. It's fine. But like, even if that is true, your obsession with this man and your delight in his killing of some fuck up is still pathologically sick. And it's not different than what Crime Pills just mentioned about watching like a monkey snuff film or something. It's depraved.
yeah,
It's
it's
just,
disgusting.
yeah.
I mean, I saw this today because I revisited some of the posts around the Mangione stuff, and I found I don't know if we discussed this at the time, but there was a woman who was arrested for making threats. Basically called like Blue Cross Blue Shield because her claim was denied, and said like she said like deny, depose, whatever the other one was, like you
Yeah.
guys, like you, they're coming for you next or something, some vague threat. And in the comments it was all of these boomer cons that like she's facing 15 years, she needs to get 15 years, she needs to get 20 years, throw away the key, this, we need to make examples out of these people. And it's like some 30-year-old overweight woman who got denied coverage, who like vaguely like like saw something with Mangione, and I agree that that's like stupid and
Yeah.
whatever, but like for these people
We need
to
to send her to the big house for that. I mean, give me a fucking break.
and
Yeah.
that's
Charge her
why
as if
I
she
think
did
these
kill somebody.
conservatives
Yeah, she's declare her a terrorist organization or something.
that's why I think that the conservative mind around like criminality and legalism and like criminal justice is more dangerous than sort of the far left, like abolish this stuff, because ultimately if they pass all of these draconian sentencing laws and policing laws, it's going to be ended up like used on you for making some anti-Semitic comment online,
Yeah.
or you know, less like maybe less far-fetched, like maybe you get in a barroom brawl in some mutual combat situation and accidentally break somebody's jaw, and you end up in prison for 20 years because you're charged with like an aggravated assault that has a
Yeah.
mandatory minimum. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a situation that well,
That can
maybe
fucking
not these
happen.
people because
That
they're
can
they're
happen to
too weak
anyone.
to get into fights, but
Yeah.
like any man could find themselves in that situation. And so
Yeah.
it's like nobody thinks of these people don't think about that. They just think like I'm a law-abiding good person and I always will be and they'll always stand behind me, not thinking like, you know, you very well could be on the other end of this for something completely ridiculous, and your policies are just giving ammunition to kind of like a faceless, you know, state bureau bureaucracy that's designed to like find ways to fuck you.
Yeah.